Hi there. My name is David Simpson, and I'm the chair of the social work program. And I'm here to talk to two students who are in the program, so I want to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jazmine Nunez. I am a senior in the social work program.
And I'm Saavedra, and I'm a junior majoring in social work and psychology.
So I have a couple of questions for the both of you. So feel free to answer as you will. But about the PLU and the social work program. So my first question is, what led you to select PLU in general?
For me, as I was navigating through what schools I wanted to go to, PLU was not an option for me. When I applied to a scholarship called Act 6, that's when I was introduced to it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Act 6 scholarship, but I was able to get the 253 scholarship. Right. So it gave me a full ride to PLU. And I originally wanted to go into nursing, but after taking a couple courses, it just wasn't for me. And I kept changing my major until I found social work, and PLU had it. So it was great.
So I was kind of in the same boat. In high school, I went to a very diverse high school that did not have a very high graduation rate. So initially, I wasn't going to go to college. I was just going to work. And then I got put into a program called the College Success Foundation. And basically, it was a program for minorities and like low-income students who probably would never have gone to college. And it essentially just gave us an opportunity to have the opportunity to look at colleges and just see that it was possible for us. And PLU was one of the schools that we got to tour. So I fell in love with the environment. It was I believe it was also September, so the leaves were changing and it was just so beautiful. And I also had a mentor who had graduated from PLU. He was alumni. And he kind of told me all of the funny stories of living in Tingelstad, where I'm the RA now. So it was just a mixture of someone I really knew well who was telling me that he had all these great experiences, but also it was the first school to be interested in me, I guess. So
got it. All right. Oh no, thanks for that. Wow, you both had really interesting ways to get into PLU. So what led either of you to the social work program at PLU? So was there something that drew you to study social work specifically at PLU?
For me, honestly, it was immigrants. I come from an immigrant family, so I think that was my main, that's why I want to do social work, because I want to help immigrants. I think being able to help those who are unable to communicate through their language barrier is huge to me. At my internship now, I work with a lot of families who don't speak English, and they're really appreciative with someone that speaks Spanish.
For me, it was kind of the same. I'm like Jazmine. I'm sorry, I didn't hear if you were first gen, but I am first gen. So when I was little, I was the translator. So I would translate for my parents. I would try to get them the help they needed. So I guess I was already used to being a resource for my parents and stuff like that. So it was that, but also just when I was younger, we were very low income. So there was a lot that I want to do because of that, just because like she said, immigrants, I've also wanted to work with immigrants, and children, especially, just also what's going on at the border, or what at the detention centers and stuff, and children being separated. So that also led me to select the social work program, and just being able to advocate for people who have been overlooked and walked on and stuff like that.
Was there a moment during your time? I know, Sarah, you're in your first year in the program, although you're a third year at PLU, and Jazmine, you're a senior. But was there a moment during your time in the social work program here at PLU that reinforced that this was the major or the career for you? Was there something that happened in one of your classes, or Jazmine, at your internship, where you said, you know what, social work at PLU is really what I was meant to do, and that's why I'm here?
For me, it was immigration policies constantly changing. And I think like, since that's my main focus, I think that's the main reason why.
Now, how about with you took 2 policy classes in the social work program, and how did the policy classes that you took shape your understanding of immigration policy or things of that sort?
I think I remember attending lobby day and going to Olympia, and we were able to sit through bills that were being passed. And I had previously done that with, it was through Latino Student Union at my high school. So I kind of already had like some knowledge on how it worked. But it was interesting seeing how I came from a Latino student union to like a whole policy class and how different it was. But immigration really played a role in that when I started seeing that younger children came into place. And although like none of my family members personally experienced like younger children being separated from their families, but like it breaks my heart knowing that other families go through that. And I think that's why I'm like, I have to advocate for my people.
Sarah, how about you? Was there a moment in your social work classes or your experience at PLU where you're like, you know what, social work at PLU is really going to be where I want to go to. That's why I want to major in social work at PLU.
Mm-hmm. I think it was also the policy classes, because or the one policy class, since I'm just in 245 or 250, just learning about how they, like, immigrants were also just like not really considered in the resources that were given out and things like that. There was just a lot that happened in the policy classes that I learned that, I don't know, it just kind of reinforced everything, considering that I feel, at least in my own opinion, some things haven't really changed from like when they first were created, like maybe like little things here and there, but I believe the foundation is still there.
So it sounds like policy is really a big major focus for both of you. And it's also exciting because policy has the possibility of changing so much for so many people, right? And kind of advocating, like Jazmine, like you're saying, is like being an advocate is really important because it doesn't just help one person or one family, it helps an entire community of folks.
So also in my policy class, we had to talk about a pioneer, and Jane Addams was my person. I learned a lot about her and how she, as a white woman, was like be able to help people of color. So I think that's where I was like, okay, see, if she can do it, other people can do it too.
Yeah, she was really. I'm from Chicago, and I went to the Jane Addams College of Social Work, and sort of really being on the ground of where Hull House was, because the University of Illinois Chicago owns buildings that were part of the Hull House, and to have them as part of our just part of our campus and being able to visit them and seeing them and being right there is really moving. And to know that she did so much work for so many communities, including communities of color, was pretty remarkable. Sarah, have you done the Pioneer paper yet?
Yeah, I just finished it. I did Susan B. Anthony. Like Jazmine said, also, like Susan B. Anthony was an advocate for the Emancipation Proclamation, but also like after the Civil War, she helped out like women's suffrage and also like African American women's suffrage. So
yeah, awesome. Oh, very cool. So it sounds like that was a paper where both of you were able to get in there and see about who some of the big names in social work were. That's really remarkable. Sarah, I have a question for you. Can you describe a little bit about what the application process was like for you and kind of how you saw the application and how you did it, or were there any anxieties that went along with it?
So the application process, I had first looked at it my freshman year, and it was on paper initially. Yeah. So I had the papers with me, and I would look through them just to kind of ease my head. I don't know. I just kind of had it there just to remind me that like I did want to do social work and stuff, just kind of reinforce it all the time. But then sophomore year when I applied, it was online. So that made it a little bit easier because I did lose a piece of paper. So it was really easy. It was very self-explanatory. I didn't feel like it was confusing at all. There was like two things that kind of scared me. It was like the background check. I'm like, I know I've never done anything bad, but just to have that there was kind of giving me anxiety.
This is a real thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But then also just the recommendation part, that was a little scary because I never really talked to anyone about why I wanted to do social work, or like if I've never really talked about someone to ask if I had the qualities or, like some certain aspects to go with social work. And PLU kind of made that really easy, like with the smaller classes and me being able to be on a first name basis with some professors. So it kind of eased my mind to be here versus if I was at a bigger school, like at UW. I don't know. I feel like I would have freaked out a lot more than I freaked out being at PLU. But other than that, it was really easy. And I believe I turned it in within 3 days. I had the recommendations already in place and I had emailed them and asked them. So it was a really easy process.
I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that you found it easier. I really appreciate the fact that you talked about the ability to establish relationships with faculty members and be on a first name basis with faculty members and really sort of have those discussions about why social work and why social work is so important for you. And then they can write letters of recommendation that sort of support your efforts. So that's great to hear. So Jazmine, I have a couple of questions for you. And then maybe I'll talk to Sarah a little bit about this as well. But Jazmine, can you describe your field placement site and kind of what your experience or what the process of finding your field placement site was like?
At first, when I decided to major social work and I knew that we had to do an internship, I thought we had to look for one, but that was not the case. And I think it was really helpful to have someone that is already experienced with like finding internships for students. So my professor was actually Jody, and she helped us place us in our internship. She was actually a school social worker. So I told her the population that I wanted to work with, and I said I wanted to work with younger children. So right now I am currently in the Early Learning Center with the Franklin Pierce School District. I also work kind of with Keithley Middle School. So what I do there is we're running a diaper bank for families in the district. And I think it's really helpful just to have diapers for people who are in need of them. And we also give food bags, food boxes for those who need them. We offer a lot of resources. And I think it just warms my heart because they're always so like thankful and happy that we're able to provide these whenever they need them. But yeah, I remember sitting down with Jody and that she kept on asking me like, hey, like, where do you want to go? Like, who are you thinking of? Like, what population are you thinking of working with? And so I told her, and it was really helpful that I had a resume from like high school that they had helped me like do, but Jody like removed a whole bunch of stuff because she's like, you're in college now, like you have to like remove some of this old stuff and like add new things. And I was like, okay. And I asked for help and she was able to help me with that. So it was just all like a really helpful process, and she helped me like whenever I had questions. And I know, David, I've asked you questions too.
Yeah. So did you interview for that field placement, or did you interview at multiple field placements, or how did that go for you?
So what happened was, supposedly I was going to work with like 3 different levels in the Franklin Pierce School District. So I was going to work with the district level and at a middle school and early learning center.
Okay.
So it was interesting that I had all of them in my interview. And it was a little nerve-wracking, but it went well because I knew that I wanted to work with that population. So it makes it easier when you know what you want to do.
Another question I have, Jazmine, is how have your classroom experiences prepared you for your field site or for your field placement activities?
So I think, yeah, I kind of already mentioned the pioneer paper, but
sure, yeah.
just like reflecting off of what previous people have done is something really big. But I think also practice, because we've done interviews with like each other, like with students, and I think that has helped me a lot. Attending lobby day, learning the code of ethics, I think that's really important, and like applying that to cases that we are given.
Yeah.
So yeah, like all of just that practice work is really helpful.
Sarah, how about you? Any thoughts? I know you have a little bit of time to consider to decide, but any thoughts about a population that you're looking forward to working with, or an agency that you're thinking about working with?
I'm really glad that you said that they help us figure out a field placement. I was very nervous that I would have to do that myself, but it kind of eases me a little bit. I really want to work with children. I did want to work with immigrants, like at the detention center, perhaps. I'm not sure if that's possible, but when things were happening at the border, it just really I really just wanted to go there and like be at the border and like be an advocate, because being a US citizen and being a minority and being first generation just kind of gives me, I feel like a privilege that many people don't have. And like knowing that I have this, what I feel is a little privilege, kind of makes me just want to give back to the people who were not born the same way I was, but are still, like Jazmine said, they're still my people. And to give back to them would be like the greatest privilege of all time. Like just to show them that it's like, just because I was born here, that doesn't disconnect me from you. I'm still a part of you, and I will do what I can to help you. So yeah, I feel like that would be an option.
No, I mean, Sarah, what a sort of sense of duty, right? Just like this high sense of duty to give back. And I think that that's really a lot of what social work is. And I think really having that mindset and being that focused and dedicated to that is really important. And I think both of you are showing that social work is really a good place, a good profession for you to be in, because of the need to give back. And also, as Jazmine mentioned earlier, just that sense of advocacy and why it's so important to advocate for people who don't, like Sarah, like you're saying, have the same privilege as we do. And so I think that's fantastic.
And also, I did have Jody for child welfare.
Oh yeah.
And we had to write a paper about something impacting children in the world. And I wrote about, I was a research paper, so I wrote about the impact of immigrant children being at the detention center, being separated from their parents, and I believe the other one was belonging to first gen, or belonging to parents who are not from here, and like the mental health of those children. So that kind of reinforced everything, because freshman year there were so many broad experiences that were given to us in the FYEP class. So that also just reinforced everything for me too.
And the FYEP class is the first year experience program. So you took the intro to social work?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, that's great. So.
I really liked it too. It was honestly something that just made me want to apply to social work, knowing that it was so versatile, that you could do social work, but also follow your passion in social work. So
exactly. Social work is a very broad field. It's a very broad profession for sure. And you could do a lot with it. Do either of you have anything else you'd like to add about the social work program at PLU, or PLU in general?
A lot of us social workers I feel like we're not given enough credit with the field and like all of the work that we put into. And it's necessary. It's truly necessary. So that's just something I wanted to share.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, for sure. And there's a lot of ways in which that is shown. Mm-hmm. And we can go into that other than this video, right? But yeah, there's a lot out there that would say that.
I feel like 2020, but also just all the events that were leading up to 2020 are just reinforcing this idea that social work is very vital. It's not just full of people who want to do good work and like do charity work. It's just, it's a way for us to give back to the people, and especially like me and Jazmine, it's like a way to give back to our people and things like that. So yeah, 2020 is a great indicator that social work should be given way more credit than we are given.
Well, I really appreciate both of you for taking your time to answer some of my questions and spend some time with us. So thank you so much.